Okay, in this first video, we're just going to do the amortization of a mortgage calculator. This is going to be the first of our two engines that we're going to build for our summary statistics page, and this is our access to just enter the data in. So this is going to be the amortization. So what I want you to do is just create or open up a clean sheet of Excel. The first thing I always do in my financial modeling, I do not like the grid lines, and I'm going to turn that off, which I think is best. Okay, since this is not going to be the main page, but it is a page that's important for entering in specific payments in a specific month. So in the fifth month, I want to put $100. I want to see how that impacts everything. We're going to do this page instead of the other one because it's a little more difficult, and it kind of limits of how many times. What if I want to put every other month, or very unique ways of putting money onto the principal in certain months. So that's what we'll do here. So the first thing I'm going to do is we'll do in column C. I'm going to start in row 2. We're going to type up the amount borrowed. Again, this video is just going to be for the amortization, no special calculations. This is a very standardized way of doing things. We'll do years, how long it is. We'll do periodic payments. And then we'll do total payments. And then we'll do the interest rate. And then we want to know our PMT, our actual monthly, or our payments per period, whatever you want to call it, because not all mortgages has to be per month. You could do one where you do it twice a month, which lowers the interest. The more payments you make, you're really minimizing the amount of interest you're paying. Okay, so what we want to do here, I'm going to put this, I'm just going to make, well, actually, because we're going to have numbers underneath. So I'm going to make column E. That's going to be amount borrowed. Outside of that, what I want to do is I'm going to put the house cost. And then right here in G, we'll put down the down payment. I said about 10 minutes of video. This one's probably going to be a little longer than the other ones. So, for example, let's do $300,000 for a house, and let's say you had a $10,000 down payment, and then what we want to know, how much are we borrowing? So that's gonna be a simple calculation and be the house costs minus the down payment. Years, so we'll put down 30 years. Periodic payments, that'd be 12 per month. Total payments, that's gonna be a calculated field. I'm gonna hit that times that. Anytime you do inputs, what we typically do in financial modeling, we'll make that a blue. That means that's a number that we're just inputting in. I'll make that a blue color. And then calculated fields are typically going to be black. So those two are inputs, for example. We're going to make that blue. And then that's calculated, that's going to be black. Well, the interest rate, well, I'm going to do two cells here. In our other sheet that we're going to clean up, it's going to look a lot better. But this is where we're going to enter the interest rate. Let's say we're paying 6.5% today. And then I have to know what's the periodic interest rate. Well, the periodic interest rate, that's the interest rate per payment per month in this example. I'm going to convert that to a percentage. And then next, what we want to know, so that's 0.54 per month. I need to know the PMT. What is my payments, my monthly payments per month? So I'm going to say equals, and we're going to go into Excel and do the payment function. And the rate is the periodic interest rate. I want to know, and I'm going to hit comma. I have to know the total number of payments. That's the 360. I have to know the present value. Okay, the present value is our is our loan, the amount borrowed. That's going to be positive because it's an inflow to us. Future value. There is no future value. I'm going to say 0, and then I'm going to close that up. And that's going to be a negative because that's an outflow of payments. That's going to be $1,833 per month it will cost us to have this house. Okay, so next, and just to show a few things here. So I'm going to make it a little lower here. So we're going to do in column C. And I do got A and B, and that's going to be some other calculations we have to make later on. So I'm going to put months here in C, and then in D we'll put beginning balance. And then in E, we'll put down PMT, our payment that we already have calculated up there. And then I want to know the interest amount paid. So it's the amortization per month, the interest paid. And then I want to know the principal. So the principal amount. You know what? I'm sorry, I'm having problems with this microphone here. Just typing that up. So I want to know the principal amount. And then the next one I want to know is the ending balance. So we want to know what the ending balance is. And then this last one in I, that's going to be the extra payment. This is the only time we'll actually, after finished, we'll use this sheet, is if you want to put a specific payment in a certain month. Maybe I'll build it out. There is a way to do it through a function in Excel. But this one's more simple. I say, hey, okay, we're in the 24th payment, so I'm going to put that in there, $100, 24th payment. That's going to be I. All right, next thing I want to do, I want to make sure this looks so we can see what it is. Oh, I just don't need that big for that. I'm going to make those little. And then there's the extra payment. Okay, so we got the month. So I want to do, now we know it's 360 months, but I could do twice a month payments. So we could have a lot more total payments than just your 12 months. There are other options. So what I'm going to do is I want to go all the way down. I'm going to show you a trick here. I want to go down, instead of going to 360, I'm going to go about 800 cells down. So here's the trick. I'm going to go up there. There's C. I'm going to hit C800, and that's going to automatically take me down there. And I'm going to hit a space there, space. So I'm going to go across of all my columns and hit a space all the way to I. And the reason I did that, if I hit Control up, it automatically takes me to the last cell entered. If I hit Control down, it takes me to that space. So it limits it to the 800, because if I did not do that and I went all the way down to create these functions, it would take me to over 1,000,000. And if you do the million part, your Excel sheet will be lagging. So I just want to go down to 800. I do some stock calculations, and sometimes I'll go down to a couple thousand for like daily returns for a certain amount of years. Or I think one I did about 20,000. But just enter the cell and say how far you want to go down. All right, next thing I want to do, I want to show the months. So I want to say 1, 2, 3. So we'll do those calculations. I'm going to highlight that, and then I'm just going to drag that down. Well, it might be a little bit of time to get to the 800. It kind of defeats the purpose of doing that, but that just knows the sequence. And yeah, I went to 800. So 791. I'm going to go back up. Okay, now we can do the amortization. So we have this set up here, and I'm going to go to the beginning balance. What's the beginning balance? Well, the beginning balance of how much I owe is going to be the amount borrowed. So it's going to be that. And I'm going to enter it in twice because the first month is going to be a bit different than the second. And then the PMT, I want this as a positive amount. So I'm going to hit a negative, and I'm going to go to that PMT, which is negative there. So it's going to flip the sign to a positive. And I'm going to go into the cell, function F4, and I'm going to hit a $sign. I'm going to make it an absolute reference. So when I drag it down, that's always going to be the PMT. There's a couple things I'm going to change later on with if functions, but just to show that. Next, I want to know how much interest did I pay. So there's a couple ways of doing this. I'm going to show you in the textbook way of doing things is what it is. It's the periodic payment, and I'm going to multiply that times the balance, the beginning balance, how much I still owe. And that's going to show you off that $1,833 payment, $1,570 of it is going to be the interest. I'll show you another thing you can do. If I hit equals, I hit IPMT. That's the function to find out how much interest in that month. So the first thing it's going to ask is the rate. That's the interest rate. I'm going to hit function F4. I'm going to freeze that because when I drag that down, I don't want to do that. Next is what period are we in? Well, that's going to be the first month. The next is total number of periods, NPER, that's 360. Next, it wants to know what is the amount borrowed, that's the 290. And then 0 for the, so it gives me the same value. So that's the interest. Principal. Now, principal has the same function. It's PPMT. You could do that. But I'm going to show you another way to calculate principal, which is if you made a $1,833 payment, well, you subtract out the interest. That means the remaining of that payment. I make that mistake sometimes since the interest amount is negative. And I forgot, one thing I want to do with that, I want this as a positive. So outside that IPMT equation, I'm going to put a negative outside that because I want that as a positive for my calculations. So then the principal amount is just the difference between the PMT and the interest payment, and then the ending balance. The ending balance is going to be the beginning balance minus the principal payment. That's going to be my ending balance. Okay, I think we got pretty much everything set up here. So what I'm going to do is we're going to enter it in one more time. Okay, so let's do this again so you can see how it works. I'm going to go to the beginning balance, where the beginning balance of month 2 is the ending balance of the previous month. And then the PMT, well, that's going to be the same. So I can just drag that down because I put the absolute reference on it. The interest payment, well, the interest payment is going to be the periodic interest. So I could take that and then hit function F4. And then I'm going to multiply that times the beginning balance, or you could do the IPMT. And you see the interest because it prioritizes the interest at the beginning. That's how a loan works. You pay more interest at the beginning, less at the end, because if you don't owe as much, and the PMT never changes. Principal amount. Well, the principal amount is going to be the payment minus the principal, or I'm sorry, minus the interest, and then the ending balance is going to be the beginning balance minus how much went on to the principal. And you see the principal goes up as the interest goes down per month. Okay, so I would go through this really quick to make sure that amortization works. I'm looking at the beginning balance. The beginning balance is, when I'm looking at it, I want that to go down. I don't want that as an absolute. I do want this as an absolute. I already made that as an absolute. The interest amount. Well, I want to multiply the beginning balance. Well, I have that not as an absolute, but it's going to multiply times the periodic interest rate, E6, which I do have as an absolute. And then the principal amount is, you want that dragged down, so that's going to accurately do it. And then the ending, you don't want absolute as well. So what I would do is I'm going to highlight those, and I'm going to, oops, sorry. A quick way of doing it, I'm going to highlight those, and then I'm going to go down. If you hit Control D, I think it's Command D on the Mac, I'm going to look at it, and that looks correct. So I'm going to drag this all the way down to my 360. And then when I get to 360, I'll go all the way to 800, show you a quick way of doing that. I did not do a space bar at 360, which I could have and made it easier. So just to see if it's working, we're a little below 360. I'm going to go all the way down. And as you can see, now that was the last cell entered, hit Control down and automatically went down there. On the 3/60th month. That's when the loan is done. You want to look at that balance, and it is 0. Okay, so that actually perfectly solved it for us. That on that month it was 0. All right. And we're going to have to make a few changes in later videos. So I'm going to have to do some if functions because I don't want that to actually show a negative there. Because why is that negative? Because if I made an 1833 payment, the beginning balance, it means I have negative, which that means they owe me money, right? It's not a beginning balance. So at that point, the loan is done. So I'm going to actually adjust that later on where I don't want that to show up. Last part I want you to do is I want to highlight that. I'm going to hold down Shift, hold down Control, and that's going to take me all the way down to the 800th row. And then I'm going to hit Control D because what I want that calculation going all the way down to the 800th to show that. And it shows that, yeah, it looks wrong how it's set up there, but we will make that correction later on. All right, a couple other things I'm going to do. So I'm going to highlight all this, and I'm going to hit Control C. I'm going to go all the way down to the 800, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that into the center. I think that looks better. I'm going to highlight that top row there, and I'm going to put a border down, and we're going to put a thick border. And the last thing I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to put ones here, and that's for a reason. And then I'm going to highlight those. I believe this will work. Oh, you know what? So I'm going to have to go down. There's the 800th. I'm going to hit a space bar. I don't think I did that for that one. So if I highlight these now and I hit Control, hold on, highlight those and hit Control C down, and then if I hit D, it's going to give me the ones. And I'll show you that for certain calculations we want to do that. Let's do a little bit of cleaning up here. Also what I like to show here, here's the extra payment. I'm going to go all the way down to 800. This is if you have a specific payment. I like to put a little color there. Oh, did not work. And the reason why, I did the, actually did the font, that color. And that just shows if I put an extra payment, and we're going to have to do those calculations later on. It shows that you can enter it in that area. Couple other things. I'm going to make a little bit of corrections here. I'm going to go up here. I want it to drag down. I'm going to hit one cell. So I'm going to hit, here's a little trick. I'm going to hit Alt-IR. That's insert row. It's the quickest way of doing it, I think. And I'm going to call this a home mortgage calculator. Okay, so I want that. I want that to be centered across that data here. Instead of merging the cell, I'm going to hit Control 1. Control 1. I'm going to go to alignment, and then I'm going to go to the horizontal, and I want to center it across. I highly recommend do not start merging cells, and I think that can cause some issues with it. Okay, and then last thing I think I'm going to do is all these cells. Well, I'm going to center those as well. Make it look a little nicer. I like making these definitely look. You'll see me do this throughout the entire mortgage calculator here, and I'm going to highlight. The ones. So we're going to insert. We're going to insert the house cost. We're going to the down payment we want to make. We're going to insert the periodic payments, and then we're going to insert the interest rate. That's the APR or the actual APR interest rate that we got, and then this is the periodic per month. That's going to be calculated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that into that blue fill as well, and that just kind of shows me I want to. I don't know why I did there. Make a black font. That shows you that's where you're going to enter stuff in, and I'm not going to enter stuff here that's calculated. Later on, we're going to protect the sheet. We're going to unprotect the ones we want to edit in, and that will make it easier so our amortization doesn't get messed up. So, okay, that's the first video. The next one, we're going to set up this mortgage calculator where if I put an extra payment And what if I put an extra payment for every single month? We want that feature on here. I'm going to show you how to do the calculations, and I'll see you in the next video.